Hello. Sweet. We got the post. I think I pinned a comment. Did I pin a comment? I sure did. Awesome. Hi, everybody. How's it going? How's it going? Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Nanny Marie. Hello, hello. Gang, you probably noticed that Courtney is not here today. Work calls, and this is just a season that gets insanely busy. Hi, Nanny Marie. Hello, hello, hi, Sans Condiments. Good to see you. Yeah, but we have an amazing guest today. You may know them from NBC's Superstore. And we're also going to talk about their involvement in Voyage to the Stars, an amazing tabletop game. We've already had Steve Berg on, so today we are happy to welcome the amazing. So hopefully, without further ado, he will be joining us. Hello!
Hey.
What are you coming from a tropical island? That's beautiful. Where are you?
I'm in Palm Springs.
Stunning. Nice. Is that a swing or a hammock or what do you got
Yeah,
going
I'm
on?
in like a little swing. There's a pool behind me. Yeah, I'm having a great day.
Jealous. I'm in Glendale. So,
Oh, okay. I
yeah,
was there yesterday.
fair enough. Fair enough. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
So we've already had Steve on the show, and we've had Felicia on the show as well. We love
Right.
our Voyage to the Stars group. Who do you play on the show?
On Voyage of the Stars, I play Captain Tucker,
Hmm.
who is a guy who has become a space captain with no formal training. He just lied to the computer when they first got on the ship and said he was the captain. So the ship treats him as if he's the captain, and he treats himself like he's the captain, but everybody knows he's not a captain.
It sounds vaguely familiar in so many levels. It sounds like a fun character. So, are you, as the fake captain, do your compatriots like you, not like you? What's the relationship with the group?
They tolerate me, I think. I would definitely not use the word like. Basically, the issue with Captain Tucker is he's much more worried about his own appearance, his own ego. So he's not, trying to be nice to other people. Basically, every alien race that we've encountered on our adventures, Captain Tucker has somehow destroyed or killed or some other way harmed them. So he's just not a great guy, but he thinks the world of himself.
Now, obviously, you are not that type of person.
Mm-mm.
I was talking to somebody the other day. Like, I love playing villains. Villains are like some of my jam because we get to, just kind of air that laundry out in a safe space. What's the attraction of playing a guy like Captain Tucker?
Just because he's so dumb, it's he's so not smart, but he thinks that he's so smart, and those are kind of my favorite people. Are people who, as they're like talking or explaining something to you, you realize that they don't know what they're talking about either. And so I just love that kind of character, somebody who's just confidently dumb.
Yeah, those are goodies, and we run into them a lot in the political sphere.
Yeah, sure, for sure.
For those of you that are just joining us, welcome to Between Two Nerds. I'm JP Karliak. My co-host Courtney Taylor could not be with us, unfortunately, today, but we are a show brought to you by Nerds Vote. We're a nonpartisan organization that brings voter registration opportunities to cosplayers, gamers, pop culture fans, and con-goers of all kinds. Today, our special guest
Ooh.
is Colton Dunn from Voyage to the Stars and Superstore. Uh, Colton, how would you say that the captain differs from Garrett on Superstore?
Well, they're pretty different guys. Garrett on Superstore, basically Garrett works at customer service, and he doesn't like customers. He doesn't like service. He doesn't really want to be doing his job. So Garrett does whatever he can to get through the day by doing as little work as possible. Uh, and he doesn't mind if anybody sees that he's not working. It's for him, it's just a job. But Captain Tucker is sort of the definition of try hard. He always wants to be involved. He always wants to be the person who speaks up in the meeting, and he's never correct and he's never right. And so, they're definitely two different guys. One guy who would do anything he can not to be involved, and one guy who is going to be involved no matter what you do.
And where do you fall personally on that spectrum?
I'm a little more like Garrett.
Fair, fair.
I'd much rather hang back, let other people do the work. But I also don't mind, being in charge or coming up with a cool plan. I'd like to think that my cool plans are more thought out, a little bit more than Captain Tucker's. But
Sure. So, not only are you an actor, but you also write. You've been an improviser for a bunch of years at the one theater that I have not performed at.
oh,
I was trying to do the improv Triple Crown, I think, at some
oh,
point, and just never made it to UCB. I was at Second City, I
oh.
was at IO, may she rest, and um, in the midst of everything going on, pandemic and all that, how are you staying motivated, and how are you staying creative in your various art forms?
Uh, you know, um, yeah, that's a good question. That was a little tough, and for me, I am an improviser, so I love to get out and do shows. I did shows every Tuesday night pretty much until everything kind of shut down, even after I started working on Superstore. So, that is a little bit of a bummer to kind of lose out on that sort of like weekly motivation thing. But it's so crazy how it's like Jeff Goldblum, says, life finds a way. It's like shortly into the pandemic, people are like, well, we're doing improv Zoom shows. And so I hopped in, I did a few of those. That was super fun.
Right.
Finding times, a lot of times to write. I'm actually I'm down here in Palm Springs but I've sort of bubbled up with another family, and the other guy in the family is a writing partner of mine. And so we're kind of using this sort of week and weekend to do some writing down here. Um, and so that's been a lot of fun to kind of focus in on sort of some of the projects that I've been trying to write or work on for a while, but just never had time to kind of stick with it because, the hamster wheel keeps moving around. But, having something like a pandemic just really slows everything down. And then, of course, we're back to work on Superstore. We started shooting at the beginning of September, so I'm back in the mix doing that, and that's a blast to see the whole cast and all the crew and everybody, and see that everybody's healthy. And it's a little weird on set, not gonna lie, to do a show during a global pandemic while there's a highly contagious virus around. But we're doing it. We're doing a pretty good job, and I think it's just trying to find new ways to do the things that you love. I think that's what everybody's kind of doing right now, is just finding the new ways to get their life somewhat back to normal.
Yeah. Although I will say I was talking to a friend who he works at a grocery store, and he was saying how much he was looking forward to the new season of Superstore because you guys didn't, everybody's kind of making the decision, do we address it, do we not address it? And you guys are addressing it, and like the pandemic exists in your world.
Oh, for sure.
And as somebody who works as an essential worker, he was looking forward to having that relationship of being like, yes, I'm going through that too. Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, I hope he checks it out. We really tried our best to, we were like, what, we're just gonna, because that is a discussion I think a ton of shows are having are, is this something you can just pretend isn't there? But, for our shows, obviously, superstores, big box stores, people who work in retail, this was, a lot of ways that they were the heroes for a lot of people, and like going out to work even when everybody else was staying home and restocking shelves and making sure that people had supplies. So, we wanted to do right by them by not sort of denying that story existed, but, wanted to continue to tell the story of people who work in those retail jobs. And, I think so far we've done a pretty good job. We got a lot of fun, fun things. That's the other sort of, nice thing about working on a comedy show. and especially superstores, we've never really shied away from any kind of topic, whether it's immigration or, guns or unionizing. But, I don't think that we're overly preachy about what we're saying. We just kind of try to put a real face on it, and show people, what it is like, from the street level of how those issues are affecting everyday life.
Yeah. Um, I mean, one of the things, Nerds Vote is a nonpartisan organization, so we don't really get into parties or candidates specifically. But one thing we talk a lot about, especially with our guests, is the issues that are important to them, because we find that one of the best ways to relate with other people is not to be like, oh, vote red, vote blue, vote whatever, It's more just like, this is why this issue is important to me, and put a real face on stuff.
For sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing with all over. That's a great outlook, because I think too many times people they lead with I'm voting blue, I'm voting red, and then that just kind of stops the conversation with somebody else, as opposed to going, this is an issue that's important to me. I want, this thing's important to me, and then you can kind of have a discussion about that issue. And I feel like a lot of times people find very common ground. People have the same issues. They may have slightly different ideas on how there's solutions to that issue, but I think that that's one of the most redeeming things to me. And when I see democracy working well, is when people are able to have conversations on ideas without sort of shutting the door because of the cover of the book that they see as a Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot more gray area than people give us credit for, I think. As far as issues that are important to you, one of the questions we like to ask our guests is, who are you voting for? And when we ask that, we don't mean party or candidate. We mean, when you're casting your ballot, who are the people that you have in mind, or issues that you have in mind, that you want that vote to affect?
For sure. When I vote, I definitely am voting. It's family oriented. So I'm voting for my kids. I have a daughter and I have a son. So I'm voting for the candidate that I feel is forward thinking enough to make sure that we're having a planet and a country that is the type of place where I want my children to grow up with, and that sort of reflects the views that I want my children to have. I'm voting for my wife, who is a woman who's also a nurse, who is an essential worker. So I want to make sure that she's I'm voting for the candidate that I feel is valuing the essential workers, and will value especially a lot of times doctors get a lot of the love of the medical field, but nurses are doing a lot of the tough work, and so I'm looking for a party or ideas that really support and hold up nurses and other medical workers like that. I'm voting for my mom and my father, who are older, and I want a candidate and policies that I feel like address what their needs are, to make sure that they're safe, to make sure that they are able to live out their the rest of their life without fear of going bankrupt from medical costs or anything like that. So those are the sort of the people that I'm thinking of when I vote, and when I look at different policies, whether it's for city elections or state stuff, or obviously the federal government.
Yeah, for sure. So you grew up in Illinois, yeah?
Well, I grew up in Minnesota. I was born in Normal, Illinois, but I grew
Ah,
up in
okay.
St. Paul, Minnesota.
Got it, got it, got it. And do you remember, do you have like an early voting memory, like going to, a fire station or an elementary school or something like that?
Wow, you mean like when I first voted?
Yep.
When I was 18? Um, yeah, I was actually in New York
Oh,
when I
nice.
first voted, when I was 18. And I voted at a school in Brooklyn, and it was very weird. And I'll be honest, I didn't know what I was doing. I kind of went in there, and I was like, I thought, I was 18. Obviously, it's sort of I think it's becoming probably, I think, a little better this year. But, at that time, 18-year-olds didn't really vote that much. It's not the biggest voting block, right? At that time. So I just thought I was like, cool for even doing it, you know.
Sure.
And so I did not do any research. And yeah, you know, I got in, looked at the ballot. I sort of knew the main people I wanted to vote for, but then there was all these other people who I did not know, and I didn't know who I was supposed to vote for. And so I just guessed, and you know, maybe some of the things were wrong, maybe some of the things were right. But at the end of the day, I do remember just feeling really great about doing it, and I've voted every year since then. And you know, so then when I do hear those conversations where people are like, oh, you know, young people aren't voting, you know, people who aren't 18. At least I feel confident. I'm like, well, you know what? I did. I'm not in that group. I may not have
Right.
always been the most educated voter, but I was out there doing it. And that's, you know, that's thanks to my mom who, texts me, you know, leading up to voting to always remember to go out and vote. But you know, so that was it. And I remember thinking it was really cool. And you know, I probably, you know, walked out and, you know, felt a little power.
A little swagger. Sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned research. Now, yes, definitely. I know when I first voted, I also probably didn't research anything except maybe the top of the ticket. So, one of our initiatives, by the way, for all of the audience out there, in our pinned comment, we mentioned ballot parties. So check out our guide on our website. Ballot parties are a great way for you to get together with some friends, probably via Zoom or other online version, and research a ballot together rather than being overwhelmed. So, Colton, when we vote in California now, and with our many propositions and measures and stuff like that, what is your best method for researching and figuring out?
You know what? It's usually I got a buddy named Ben who I usually just go to him because we have similar politics and he kind of does a lot of the research, so he just sort of lays it out for me what each thing is. You know, it's really weird. I feel like there was sort of a sweet spot. I'll say about 10 years ago, um, maybe 7 years ago, where like I was able to get the information on a what was on a ballot, and I could read like the little pamphlet that they send, and maybe do a little search on the internet and find some like good stuff.
Mhm.
But now it's almost impossible. Like if you go on the internet to search, you know, say Prop 21 or some random proposition,
Sure.
you are going to find everything from things that will say whatever this proposition is, it's going to destroy the planet to this is if you don't do this proposition, all of our children will be, kidnapped. Uh, and so it's like it's very hard to do that research. And so I really trust in friends.
Mhm.
I try to kind of read the overall of what it is, but no shame in reaching out. So like an example would be like for this year, there were a couple of initiatives on the California ballot that had to do with sort of the medical industry. And I think I told you like my wife is a nurse. And so, I reached out to a number of her friends, people who I know who work in the medical industry to get their thoughts on what they thought of this thing, what was the sort of vibe about it. And I really kind of take that into making my decision on it. So I think it's important to to look out there, but the internet is a tough one. So it's obviously groups like like you guys like Nerds Vote, who have like set up these systems where people can get together and really talk about these different things. Those are really valuable, and so I would highly suggest that anybody who's out there, if you find yourself just kind of Google searching just the prop, like that's good, you do what you can, but maybe just try to give somebody a call or just text somebody who you think might already know about it. And if they don't, all right, so they just say, "Oh, I don't know anything about that." But if they do, maybe they can give you some insight onto it that is not skewed to whoever wrote the article online.
For sure. I mean, in our method, we do encourage people to, get a number of sources from different viewpoints before making a decision. And we also provide a few sources, like one of our partners is ballotready.org, and they
Yeah.
provide a great unbiased info sheet about every candidate and ballot across the country. So it's a nice place to start. Like, okay, well, this candidate maybe said this about this issue. I'm going to Google a little further and see what that's about, like how they feel about housing or gun control or healthcare or whatever. So yeah, it's all about having a place to start and going from there. And I'm with you. I went on Facebook and was like, all right, who's got the cheat sheet? Send it over. And I'm not saying I copy it directly, but it's a place to start, and also reaching out to people that are experts. I mean, if there's a proposition has to do with healthcare, you reach out to healthcare professionals. That only makes sense. So yeah, good stuff. So for anybody out there who is just joining us, this is Between Two Nerds. Our special guest today is Colton Dunn. If you have questions for Colton, you can put them in the little question mark box down the bottom. Somebody just wrote, "I love Superstore."
Oh, that's me too.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have any questions for him, feel free to put those in. We will try to get to those as we go. So,
and if we get 20 people in this room, I'll jump in the pool. So I'll take my phone with me too. You guys can watch it all.
19,
oh boy, all right,
20.
Said that. All right, let's go.
I hope his phone is waterproof. Awesome. Well done. That's a first. Let's see if his phone comes back, though. Oh, please let it have been waterproof. Okay. Well, maybe not.
Let's talk about voting.
Okay, there we go. For a minute, I was like, "Oh God, was his phone waterproof?"
Oh yeah, yes, it is.
We lost for a minute there. Like,
oh, that would have been hilarious. My phone broke, man.
Yeah. Well done. So I know that you will also do some voiceover. Yeah, Colton? You are on Big City Greens.
Yeah, I'm at Big City Greens. A couple new shows that are going to be coming out. One's called Fairfax High.
Oh, awesome!
Fairfax Middle School. Yeah.
I loved the scripts for that show.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm the principal on that show, Principal
Nice.
Weston. And what's the other show that I'm doing? Oh, Middlemost Post, which is going to be, I believe, a Nickelodeon show. So yeah, definitely excited about all the voiceover stuff. That's been a nice thing to be able to do during the pandemic. I set up a little recording booth inside my house and have been able to keep doing that. So that's nice to stay creative doing voices.
Yeah, ditto that. It has been it's nice to be able to. It's a blessing to be able to stay afloat in that regard. So we just got another question. Nope. So Superstore. Of the characters that are on Superstore and the actors that portray them, which of the characters and which of the actors do you think would make a great political leader?
Oh wow. That's interesting. I think, we have a couple options, a couple ways to go with this.
Sure.
All right. Obviously, Jonah Sims, who is Ben Feldman's character,
Mm-hmm.
he's very much an activist. He, is always wanting to go to protests, considers himself very woke. So I would think that he would definitely want to become a politician. I don't know if he would be successful at it.
Right.
But now, on the other hand, I do think that Cheyenne, which Nicole Sakura plays,
Mm-hmm.
is probably the least likely to incline to want to be into politics. But I feel like her character would go far in politics because she's, very open-minded, very malleable. So I think that would be sort of, and to Jonah's, anger. I think that if anybody out of the show is going to become a politician, it might be the character Cheyenne.
Okay. I mean, sometimes it's the reluctant leaders that are the best ones, right? The ones
Exactly.
that don't want the limelight. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, which of the actors would be the best one?
Oh boy, the actors. Oh boy. Well, America, and she just recently left the show, and it's my hope that she's left the show to go and look for to become the the next governor of
Her
California. But
acting would have been great. Yeah.
I definitely think that she would make a great lawmaker, not just politician. Um, I would say Ben Feldman, but I just think that Ben Feldman would make like a better restaurant critic. Um, he's got opinions. He's convicted, but unfortunately, most of his convictions and opinions are about fancy foods and restaurants. Uh,
I can subscribe to that.
and so, boy, you know what? Mark McKinney, who plays Glenn. I think that probably of everybody on the cast, he is the most knowledgeable about the politics world, not just the current events politics, but also historical politics, and not just America's historical politics, but Canada's and France, and he's very worldly. So I would say probably Mark McKinney would make the best politician out of the
So at
cast.
the very least, he should be Secretary of State. In this,
Oh,
yeah,
hands down.
sure. Awesome. We did get one question. This is from Maslinda74. Do you improvise your scenes at all? I'm assuming on Superstore.
Sure. In both Superstore and Voyage to the Stars, there's a lot of improv involved. Superstore's a little bit more written out, but we always, take time to do a fun run, and the writing process doesn't really end. So even when we're shooting, there's usually a writer on set, and so we're still kind of going over. Maybe I'll say it a little bit differently, or let me try this joke here. So there's definitely a lot of improv that you see in Superstore. And obviously, Voyage to the Stars is almost entirely improvised. We kind of have
Right.
sort of a story outline that we go over, but kind of the back and forth, the dialogue is all improvised.
Awesome. Now, back to Voyage to the Stars. How did you get involved with that? Were you always a D&D guy, or was tabletop kind of a new genre for you?
Oh no, I always big fan of tabletops. But this particular project though, it was actually Steve that hit me up and asked me if I would be interested in doing it. And not only was I interested in the idea, but Steve, as the improviser for a long time, but I think there had been a number of times where we had tried to like work together on stuff and it just didn't work out. And so I was just excited to work with him. But then obviously Felicia and Janet were on board, and then I met Ryan, and that guy's just got tons of stories that he likes to tell, and so it just worked out perfectly, and it was I mean, geez, I think we're on our third season now. We just recorded one a couple days ago, and all over Zoom now, but just super fun. So yeah, but basically Steve got me into it, and obviously space adventures. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I bring a lot of that to the table.
Do you have a favorite episode of Star Wars?
A favorite episode of Star Wars? I mean, Empire Strikes Back would probably be my favorite
The right answer.
episode.
It was a
I think yeah, somebody who's my age, you have to say Empire Strikes Back. However, I'm sort of on my way, kind of going back through watching everything again, and on top of that, I'm also starting to watch like Star Wars Rebels, and some of the cartoon content
They're
that's come
so
out.
good.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about it. Because during the pandemic, because of all like the news and everything just got so depressing. I kind of was like, you know what? I know who I'm going to vote for. I don't want to watch the news every day. And so I sort of actively stopped. And what I started to do is I was like, let me try to find a Star Wars podcast. And so there's a free plug because I have no connection with this show, but this show called Force Center, which is a podcast where they talk about Star Wars. And it's just these two guys who just talk about everything in Star Wars. They talk about the movies, they're talking about the cartoons, they talk about the action figures, talk about live events. But it was just so fun to like just listen to these guys talk about Star Wars, and it really reminded me how much I loved it. And so then, yeah, they were talking about some of the cartoons, which, I think I kind of wrote off because they were cartoons, and I was like, oh, well, they're probably very like, for kids, and I won't be into them. But yeah, I started watching Rebels, and I love it. So,
But you haven't watched Clone Wars yet.
I haven't watched Clone Wars yet. Is
Oh.
that even better?
Well, it's not that it's better. Like Rebels is amazing, but you really need Clone Wars to understand a lot of the nuance of I'm a huge nerd.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know which one I needed to watch first. So
And
I can hop over watching Clone Wars.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about Clone Wars is it starts out kind of more geared towards the youth, especially if you watch the Clone Wars animated movie and then kind of get into it. But by the time you get to like season 3, that's when it really kicks into, whoa, this is some adult stuff. I mean,
Okay.
You may have heard there's a return of a certain villain, and it gets really deep and really dark.
I can't wait. All right,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to hop in there.
It's an awesome show. And then, of course, there's Mandalorian, and who doesn't love that? So, yeah.
I mean, I love it. I can't wait. That's this week. I think the new one comes out.
What? Is it?
Wow. Is it comes out this week, next week? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I think you're right. Awesome. I could go on forever on that. We did have one other question. This one is from Ava Kendrick. What's your favorite section in the Superstore set? Electronics, office, frozen?
My favorite section of the Superstore set. Yeah, I have two. One, I just like the electronics section. Just because ever since I was a kid, I just always loved being in the electronics section of the store. Like just that like the feeling that like I'm gonna get some new cool gadget or something. And even though a lot of the stuff there is just fake, I still have that feeling in the electronics section of like, oh, look at all this cool new stuff. And the other section, which is also sort of a weird one, is I love the cafe. I love being in the cafe of the store. Again, all completely fake foods in the counters, but there's just something comfortable.
Oh.
Sorry about that. Oh,
good.
my alarm went off on my brisket. It's just about done.
Nice.
Is the cafe? It has like the big like fluffy pretzels that like turn around on the little thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just enjoy looking at that. It's the idea of hot, warm, salty pretzels just makes me feel comforted. So I'd say the cafe and electronics are my two favorite locations.
I'm a big fan of the turny pretzel as well. That was always the thing that I would beg my mom for. And this is a free plug. I get nothing from them. But have you discovered the wonders of Shappy Pretzel?
No.
Okay, so Adam Shapiro, who's an actor, he's been on some television and stuff like that. He's from Philly, and he has started making Philadelphia-style soft pretzels out of his house.
I've heard about this.
Yeah, and you order them off of his Instagram.
Oh.
And they are amazing.
They're good.
Them. They're so good. I get $0 for saying so, but they're so good.
Oh man, yeah, I gotta try this out. I love this new wave of the Instagram, restaurant pop up. There's like the pizza place. I think there was a barbecue place that I went, Pug's Pantry.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Oh, I gotta try these pretzels.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I will say one of the benefits of if you can say benefits, I mean, it's obviously not a great thing, but if there's anything good that has come out of the pandemic, it's seeing the way that people kind of innovate and find new ways of doing things. And I think, just having like pretzels and pizza and all sorts of stuff that are just out of people. Like there's a place in East Hollywood where you can order a breakfast sandwich and they lower it from a fire escape. Like what? Sure. Stupidest thing, but they're delicious. So anyway, now we got everybody saying that they want a pretzel. So you're making brisket. Are you a master barbecuer or?
I do. I love to barbecue. I like to smoke meats. I like all sorts of things. I like cooking. So yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Are you like in the griller in charge in this Palm Springs excursion?
Yeah, for right now, for sure. I think I'll probably hand that over in the next couple days to my friend so he can make what he wants to make. But yeah,
Yeah,
today, yeah.
for today, it's all you. If you're just tuning in, this is Between Two Nerds, our show brought to you by Nerds Vote, a nonpartisan organization bringing voter registration opportunities to cosplayers, gamers, congoers, and pop culture fans of all kinds. Our guest today is Colton Dunn. One thing I also wanted to mention today, we also always have action items and stuff like that. In the pinned comment, I mention ballot parties, a great way for you to take out the overwhelmingness of an extensive ballot, research it with your friends, break it apart, make it fun. Also, something else that I want to throw at everybody, if I could find it real quick. Oh, of course, I don't have it readily available. We have a phone number. If you check out our profile, Nerds Vote, we have a phone number for specifically it's for when you're out, whether you're early voting or on election day. If you have any trouble voting, if somebody tries to get you out of line, or if they tell you that you can't vote after the polls have closed, but you are in line, or anything like that, that phone number is the one you call to report any issues. So make sure that you know what your rights are. You have the right to vote. Don't let anybody tell you differently. Awesome. So, Colton, usually the way we sign these things off is we tell you to pick your favorite character and to tell everybody to get out and vote. So I don't know if it's Garrett, if it's Tucker, if it's one of your characters from the animated work you do, but just give everybody a little PSA.
I see. So a little PSA as Captain Tucker. All right. Let's see. All right. Hey, it's me, Captain Tucker, your old buddy. Now, I know it's scary to get out there and vote, but you have to do it. I vote all the time, even when there's not an election. Sometimes I just write my name down and put it in a box and wait a couple hours and then count the names in the box to see if I won. And usually I win. But this election I'm not allowed in because I'm flying around in space. But there's a couple really great people all running for stuff out there. So take a look, check them out, and vote your conscience, vote your heart. But just remember to vote. Captain's log, to space but further. I'm out.
Brilliant. Colton, it has been great chatting with you today. I will not keep you from your brisket any longer.
All right.
But thanks for being here. For everybody out there, be sure to follow Nerds Vote at Nerds Vote. Here we are. We have we'll have information about Election Day all the way up to and probably after Election Day. So keep tuned to us there, and also our website, nerdsvote.com. Colton, thanks again. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Go vote.
All right. Bye, everybody.